When you think of weird and peculiar looking vehicles, one that should definitely come to mind is the Concept 1B, the Tier 10 American Heavy Tank Collector, which, well, funny enough, has entered testing today, and I was lucky enough and fortunate enough to get one on my team, so I can show you guys what the vehicle looks like. It is such a weird looking tank, isn't it? It's just... man, it looks almost like you got Play-Doh for the turret and just squeezed it in your hand. And that's the design of the turret that came out of the vehicle. Very, very cool looking, and statistically, it is an insanely strong vehicle. In today's video, just like always when we talk about these little tank previews and replays, since this vehicle is currently in its first iteration of testing, I'm also able to show you guys what the statistics are of this vehicle and as well the armor profile. And oh my, does this vehicle look incredibly strong. And just looking at this one player stats, who's averaging around 4,000 damage in the vehicle with an 80% win rate. Yeah, this is one tank that you are not going to want to mess with if it comes out in the current patch that it is in. However, as we know for recent tanks that have come into the game, like the LT-432 and basically every other premium at tier 10 and tier 8, they have been nerfed when they were in testing. So I am very confident that this vehicle will not come out in the current statistics and way it currently is, but we will just have to find out as only time can tell. Now, one other thing I do want to tackle before we break into the actual statistics of this tank is down to the question of, will this be the Blitzfair vehicle? Now, Batufli is almost 100% certain that this will be the Blitzfair tank, and I am almost 100% certain that this will not be the Blitzfair tank. Now, there's one very simple reason for that, and that is because the Kampfpanzer 50-ton already exists. The Object 907 and the Kampfpanzer 50-ton were kind of back and forth in my mind on which vehicle was going to be the Blitzfair tank when I made my original video, stating that I thought the 907 would be. Turns out that Wargaming decided to release 907 first, so that leaves us with two collectors. We've got the Concept 1B and the Kampfpanzer 50-ton, the Tier 10 German medium collector. Now, the reason I think that that vehicle, and basically know that it should be the Blitzfair vehicle, is that it's already finished testing. This vehicle has just entered testing. And what that means is Wargaming not only has about 2 weeks to test this vehicle, but then they have to decide either what to do with it. Are they going to leave it with the way it currently is? Are they going to buff it or nerf it, and then test it again to see how it performs once again? And honestly, that's not a lot of time, judging that it's already 10/29. I mean, it's almost the 11th month, and the Blitzfair usually comes out on like the 17th of December, so they've got literally a month and a half to completely test this vehicle, make sure that it's statistically sound, and release it into the game. That is not enough time. And a vehicle like the Kampfpanzer that they've already tested, that's already ready to go into the game, is definitely having an incredibly high chance of being the Blitzfair vehicle, and this tank, yeah, no, I just don't believe it. So don't get your hopes up for this vehicle coming into the Blitzfair. I'm very certain that it will be the Kampfpanzer 50-ton, but man, does this look so interesting at that. So let's break into these statistics to see how it is going to currently perform. Now, let's imagine the T110 E5 before it was nerfed. It carried around the same DPM. I think it had like 2750 or 2850. So the E5 was a very strong vehicle. And this tank, well, as you can see, it's got very good DPM at 2850 base. Although its penetration is meh at 258 millimeters. Obviously, I like to run calibrated shells, so we're going to look at what the pen is like with calibrated. But yeah, 271 on the standards is about average for your tier 10 heavies. Although what is pretty bad is the premium 341 if you're running calibrated and you're using heat. That is not amazing. It's not terrible. It's not like the WZ-111-5A that's sitting at 333 if you're running Cali, but it's not much better. You are going to struggle to cut through tier 10 armor profiles, vehicles like the 60 TP or even any other tier 10 heavy at that, the IS-4. If they're using any gun depression, you are really going to struggle to cut through enemy armor. But the good news is that you should be able to cut through Jagdpanzer E100 superstructures and E100s as long as they are on flat ground and trying to angle their vehicles. So, not terrible on that aspect. One thing that is insane is the shell velocity at 1478. Now, just to put in perspective of how ridiculous that shell velocity is, for any of you know the T62A, a vehicle that has the highest shell velocity in tier 10, well, the 62A is literally sitting at like 20 more. Let's take a look, and there it is, 1535, and as we just said, the Concept 1B is 1478. That means if you're running supercharge on this vehicle, it's up to 1921, like actually insane. That is going to make this vehicle make a Mark 6 shell velocity almost seem slow. So that's one thing. Also carries carries a 120mm, dealing 400 damage per shot. Even the heat shell velocity at 1173 is ridiculously fast, and the HE as well is just stupid. So yeah, not a vehicle you want to mess with. Aiming time is okay at 1.99 seconds. If we were to compare that to a vehicle like the E5, just to get a point of reference here, the E5's is 1.81 and 0.317 dispersion. This vehicle's dispersion is 0.344 and 1.99. But one thing that is amazing is the dispersion factor on move at 0.14 and 0.14. You compare that to the E5, this is 0.18 and 0.18. So, sure, while this vehicle is not going to have the best aiming time because the on-movement dispersion is incredibly good, it's actually going to have a great aiming time. And the reason that matters is because dispersion is obviously the amount your shell disperses over 100 meters. That's what your aiming circle is. So, basically, if you have better on-movement dispersion, your aiming circle does not get larger, which means that your aiming time, in theory, is much, much better. And same for the dispersion, it's actually not too bad, same as an IS-4. Gun depression, 10 degrees, 20 degrees of gun elevation, obviously fully traversable turret, and a very quick turret traverse speed at 32 degrees a second. I have a very, very good feeling that that will be nerfed in the future. The tank weighs 43 tons, and because of that, it's able to go 45 forwards, 18 in reverse, and have a power-to-weight ratio of 14.19. Making this vehicle ridiculously fast. It has a traverse speed of 35 degrees a second on hard and medium terrain. Why? I have no clue. In fact, if you read this correctly, the medium terrain reverse speed is like, I don't even get that. Medium terrain, this is one of the fastest heavies in the game, and soft terrain is pretty bad at 17.62. Soft terrain is like water, any really dune stuff that really can't traverse easily on. That's what soft terrain is. Now, the size of the tank is not small by any means. It's about average for a heavy, as you saw, but concealment-wise, it's not terrible at 12.4%, and while moving, it's not too bad either at 7.2. So, very weird on the vehicle statistics. It looks very similar to what the E5 was like before it was nerfed, until we break onto the armor. Now, the E5, as we know, has good armor. I mean, this is the E5's armor profile here. It's got a big lower plate, and it's got turret cheeks, and these turret cheeks are quite big. If you've ever aimed at them, yeah, you can hit them quite easily. They're 240 millimeters thick. This is the Concept 1B's turret cheeks. Oh, wait, it doesn't have any. Sorry, misspoke. Yeah, the Concept 1B upper plate is strong. It's 260 base, which means if you're using your gun depression and angling it correctly, we'll say it at an angle like this, using heat, it's still 420 thick. That means even a vehicle like the Object 268, which has over 400 millimeters, 420 millimeters of heat pen, still can't cut through that upper plate whatsoever. Ridiculous. I mean, you're going to bounce everything on that upper plate if you're hull down. Not to mention, this vehicle also carries a ridiculously strong turret, one that literally cannot be penned unless you hit this little edge here or that little edge there. Apart from that, the turret is upwards of 440 millimeters, upwards of 500. I mean, this is one of the thickest turrets I've ever seen in the game. And would you like to see the cupola you can shoot out? Boom, there you go, your 270 millimeter thick cupola on the roof there. Yeah, good luck hitting that. Honestly, this vehicle is insane. Hull down-wise, it will be one of the strongest tier 10s in the game. And even the turret's side is still very strong. Now, it does have a cupola on flat ground here, but honestly, if you're looking at this vehicle on flat ground, just shoot at the upper or lower plate. I mean, it's pretty easy to cut through that upper plate on flat ground. Now, another thing you'll notice about the side armor is that it is completely angled, meaning that all AP shells are going to auto-ricochet. You can see it there. It's just a big cutout. So all AP shells are going to auto-ricochet. Even heat shells at an angle like this still cannot penetrate it. I mean, look at how thick that is. This is a 25 degree angle, and you still can't pen that upper part of the vehicle. Yeah, I really don't want to fight this vehicle currently in the patch of the tank. Even fully side on, I mean, that's a very strong upper part at 166, just slightly angled up, and that's 250. So, yeah, I mean, yeah, Concept 1B, everybody. Fair and balanced vehicle. So, yes, currently in its iteration of testing, it is a broken tank. It will be nerfed, and I'm fairly confident on that because, well, I mean, let's just compare this armor profile to a T110 E5. Oh, wait, we got to get the E5 out. Sorry, looking at the 268 there. Let's get the E5. I mean, look at the size of the turret cheeks. It's not even funny. And as we said, I just want you to notice how small these turret cheeks are on the actual vehicle. Those are the turret cheeks that you have to hit right there, that little baggy part, and that little baggy part, and that little weak spot on the roof. I mean, good luck hitting that when you're looking at the vehicle from here. I mean, you're not going to hit that a little bit up there, but I mean, you're not going to be hitting those weak spots. It is ridiculously small. Now, as I did say, you'll notice that the frontal armor is quite weak. 1, 2, 3, 4, like pens all over 5 actually on the front. So very easy to cut through the frontal armor, and you can clearly see that yeah, the armor is not working too well for his vehicle as he's been penned basically every time, trying to pen this Grandvong there. But yeah, he's not doing too well at 260 hit points. But either way, this game here, it just showcases what the concept is able to do. It did a very good job. In fact, we can just hover over the tank. I mean, it's such a weird armor profile. He took out the T92E1, the ST1 with me, and then he's still got plenty of hit points left. And how many hit points does the vehicle actually have is something I'd like to see. 2,491. So nothing ridiculous on the hit point pool. You know, it's not going to be bouncing every shell. Let me just check if he's running armor boost or not, because it's possible he's running armor on it. It's going to be sitting at 2350 base, so not actually super healthy. Yeah, 2491, man. Not an actually incredibly healthy tank. Very surprised on that. But yeah, either way, this is the tank. Very, very cool looking vehicle, and I'm excited to see how it is going to be when it gets released into the game. But I'm not excited to see what the vehicle is going to play like, because currently it is definitely broken. You can see how low down it is. I mean, this is what you're looking like at the bridge. It is very hard to see when you're actually using this bridge correctly, and I can just imagine that this will be the next comp tank if Wargaming releases it even closely similar to what the armor and mobility is. It's basically, okay guys, let's nerf the T110E5, so then we can make a vehicle that went faster than the E5 at 45, 18 in reverse, so you don't even need speed boost to go in reverse, a vehicle that has a stronger turret, the same DPM before we nerfed it, and much, much troll armor. I mean, I don't even know what to say. The vehicle is ridiculous looking, and yeah, I mean, that's the Concept 1B. Hopefully, all of you enjoyed today's video. Now, how did he perform in the vehicle? He performed pretty well in it. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. He's at 3,580 average damage, or not average, but just in that game there specifically. And if we break into his tier 10 stats just to see how he's performing in the vehicle personally, yeah, 17 games, 65%, and 3,500 average damage. So, pretty strong if I do say so myself. Yeah, Concept 1B is a vehicle I'd very much like to see come into the game, but I'd also very much like to see not come into the game with its current statistical averages. If anybody out there in the comments thinks that this vehicle should be released in the current state of it is, you're just wrong, and yeah, you should get your brain checked out. But hopefully all of you enjoyed today's video, and I'll be seeing you in the next one. Bye-bye!